Shalom.
Shalom.
This is the
Boy,
Sabbath again.
Yes, this is an awesome Sabbath. We look forward for Friday and
This is
Saturday.
Awake, O Israel
Ministries
coming
to you from Jacksonville with the truth.
We do thank and praise the Most High, Ahayah, bahashem, Yashayah, and the Wakadosh, the set apart Holy Spirit, for another Sabbath, another Revelation 14 is the chapter we're in already. Revelation 14.
I hope you're following along because we are being totally blessed. And I know the viewers that have been listening to us for a while are being blessed. My adventures today out in the world, which I don't really care to be in. I'm meeting a lot of Afro-Americans that are starting to admit that they're Hebrews and they're listening to us. And this is what we have to do. We have to reach our people. I met remember the man, Josh, when I gave food to at Walmart? What's his name, Mary? Brian. I gave him $20 today, and I got a Bible from him, I told him. And he's Indian. He's a tribe of Gad or Reuben. And he really, really listened. It was really good. It was
so,
yeah, go ahead, Josh.
We do thank and praise the Most High again.
Yes, we do.
These have been good chapter studies on Revelation. After we go through Revelation, we're going to go through the book of Matthew. We're going through Matthew next after Revelation. And
did we do older? Oh, we did the epistles, right? Okay.
We're going to teach through the whole New Testament. After
wait a minute, and then we're going to prove to you. What's our motto, Tony?
Prove all things.
Okay, watch. We're going to prove to you that Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are what, Josh? They're old what?
Oh, what they?
Those are considered Old Testament books. And if you tell, like someone who's not learned, they're going to argue with you. But we're going to prove to you that they're not the New Testament books. The New Testament books started on the day of Pentecost.
That's Acts.
Right. And there were no tongues. If you're sitting tonight under an apostle, he's an apostate. He's a liar. There are no apostles in this world today. That was done away with the special gift of tongues so they can understand. They can talk to a nation of people that will come into Jerusalem on the Pentecost, right? Then they say, how do these people know our language, our tongue? Since they're Galileans, all right?
Absolutely.
And that's done away with.
As we always do recently, we're gonna share a screen and show you some. We're gonna go into some clips from a lesson from DOCC, breaking down who are the 12 tribes of Israel. We're gonna learn who the Central American, some of the Central Americans in Panama and Colombia, and other people in South America are.
Pay attention.
Mexico.
It's important for you to know, if you're listening tonight and you're from that part of the world, it's important that you know.
Of the earth and the sea. Read. For the devil is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he had but a short time. So when Christ was crucified, the clock started ticking on how long Satan would have to reign in this earth.
500.
So
5,000.
through that short time, he started persecuting Christ's people, starting in 70 AD. Read. And when the dragon saw that he was cast unto the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child. Who was the woman that brought forth Christ? Israel. That's the woman. Read. And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness. She flew into the wilderness. That was Israel running into Africa, fleeing from Roman persecution. Go ahead. Into her place where she is nourished for a time and times and half of time. And that time and a half of times is a dispensation of time between the time Israel would fall until Christ would come back and save Israel.
There's no special 7 years in that.
That's the dispensation. Now, let's go back into identifying the lost tribes of Israel. We've identified Reuben, which is the Seminole Indians. and the Aborigines of Australia. We've identified Simeon, which are the Dominicans, Levi, which are the Haitians. We've identified Judah, which is the so-called Negroes here. We have identified Benjamin, which is the so-called Jamaicans, West Indian, and the people in Trinidad. Now we're going into Zebulun, the father Jacob, Israel, letting his children know what will befall them in the last days.
In the last days.
Let's go to Genesis 49 and 13.
That's right.
Zebulun shall dwell at the haven of the sea, and he shall be for an haven of ships.
He shall be for an haven of ships. Who's that? Panama and Guatemala. Panama, the Panama Canal, which is a haven of ships. So the Lord told Zebulun, in the last days, your habitation will be a haven for ships.
Wow.
That one land of Panama connects both oceans. It communicates and actually trade on both sides of the world. That's the haven of ships, Panama. So if you're a Panamanian and Guatemalan, you are from the tribe of Zebulun, because ships will be haven on your land in the latter days. Now, let's get the next one, Genesis 49 and 14.
Issachar is a strong ass couching down between two burdens.
Strong ass couching down between two burdens. When you see that, those bumper stickers south of the border, you see the two donkeys and the man couching down with a big hat on. That lets you know that their burdens would be the fact that they work. They work hard. They're known for working. And that work is the burden that the Lord put on them. Read.
And he saw that rest was good.
That rest is a fiesta that the Mexicans have every noon, which is called rest. Go ahead.
And the land that it was pleasant.
And the land that it was pleasant, a very fertile land the Mexicans hold today. And all the other people in the earth, the heathens, use that land for their own gain. There's no way Mexicans should have to cross the border to feed their family with how rich and fertile their land is. The other nations have taken advantage of Issachar and made them poor. Fulfilling this prophecy to let you know that they'll be like an ass couched between two asses or burdens or donkeys. They'll have to work with the sweat of their brow to make anything, even though they have a fruitful land. Go to Deuteronomy 33 and 18 and 19. So who is Issachar? The Mexicans today. Read that.
And of Zebulun he said, rejoice, Zebulun, in thy going out, and Issachar in thy tents.
In thy tents. That's how they used to travel. In tents. All the Indian tribes over here used to travel in teepees or tents, or what the scriptures call in the Old Testament
tabernacles.
Who? Traveling in tents.
That's right.
Another defined prophecy to show you who the children of Israel are here today.
Look, stop.
Now let's go to Genesis 49 and 16.
Dan shall judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel.
Dan shall judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel. Now we know that Dan was the smallest of all the tribes of Israel. Dan was small. They had a little place next to Mount Seir. We found out through research, and we're going to make a whole tape on this to prove what we're showing here, that Dan ended up becoming the Herads and set up a Sanhedrin to judge God's people. So Dan made an agreement with Esau and Satan for the priesthood, and they became the Herads, and that's why they're not named in Revelation the 12th chapter. Dan started dealing with evil, witchcraft, and they linked their seed with Esau. Get Judges 18 and 1. More proof on Dan. It says, Dan so judge is one of the tribes of Israel. And we know Dan was not given an inheritance as a priest. They were the smallest tribe. Okay? but they started making an agreement because they were smaller with Esau, and they made an agreement with Satan dealing with all these different gods, and became judges to try to destroy Christ and Christ's people. We're going to prove that. Read Judges 18:1.
In those days there was no king in Israel. The Danites sought them an inheritance to dwell in.
So when the northern kingdom was destroyed, Dan seen an opportunity to come to the forefront. Read.
For unto that day all that inheritance had not fallen unto them among the tribes of Israel.
So Dan was not supposed to have a priestly inheritance. Go ahead.
And the children of Dan sent of their family 5 men from their coasts, men of valor from Zerah and from Ishtar, to spy out the land and to search it. And they said unto them, Go search the land. Who, when they came to Mount Ephraim, to the house of Micah, they lodged there.
So they spied out the land to set up their own powers. Go down to the 27th verse. It's talking about the tribe of Dan. What happened to Dan? Read.
And they took the things which Micah had made, and the priests which he had, and came unto Lash, unto a people that were a quiet and secure. And they smote them with the edge of the sword, and burnt the city with fire.
Go ahead.
And there was no deliverer, because it was from Zidon, and they had no business with any man. And it was in the valley that lieth by Beth-rehob. And they built a city and dwelt therein. And they called the name of the city Dan, after the name of Dan their father, who was born unto Israel. Howbeit the name of the city was Laash at the first. And the children of Dan set up the graven image.
They set up what?
The graven image.
They started setting up graven images to Satan. Read.
And Jonathan, the son of Gershom, the son of Manasseh, he and his sons were priests to the tribe of Dan.
You see that? They became priests. They started setting up their own priesthood. Read.
Unto the day of the captivity of the land. And they set them up, Micah's graven image, which he had made, all the time the house of God was in Shiloh.
You see that? So Dan made themselves priests. So when Christ came on the scene, the Sanhedrin was already set, and the Harads were already set. Who are the Harads? Dan linked with Esau and became a priestly people over the tribes of Israel. That's why it says in Genesis 49, go back to Genesis 49 again. Genesis 49, 16 and 17.
Dan shall judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel.
As one of the tribes of Israel. So he set himself up as a judge. So the Lord cut him off as a people. He set himself up as a priest dealing with Satan. Read.
Dan shall be a serpent by the way, an adder in the path.
He was a serpent by the way, because Satan got up in him as a Harad to try to kill Christ. When Christ's star was seen in the east. Go ahead.
That biteth the horse heels, so that his rider shall fall backward.
And they did that. Dan was set up to try to make Israel go back. So Dan made an agreement with Esau and Satan to go against his own people, to judge God's people with money. And we're going to go into that teaching, a whole teaching on Dan itself. And that's why Dan is not numbered with the 12 tribes in Revelation, the 7th chapter, because they mixed their seed with Esau and they started going after the gods of the other nations and set themselves up as priests. Now, let's go to Genesis 49 and 19, going into the tribe of Gad. Go ahead. Genesis 49 and 19.
Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last.
A troop shall overcome Gad, but he shall overcome at the last. What troop overtook Gad? The U.S. cavalry under Custer. When Esau came over here, the troop that overtook Gad, the North American Indian, you can see the slaughters here. The troop that overtook Gad was a U.S. cavalry. Gad is a North American Indian. Here's a picture showing them moving and migrating because of the conquest of the Western world. They had to move because the settlers came over here from Europe and was putting smallpox in the blankets, killing the buffalo, spreading diseases amongst the people, and killing the people with biological warfare. Over here, you show the same troop with mass graves, pushing the North American Indians in mass graves and burying them, and taking a picture to commemorate this destruction. You see, we know a lot of you don't want to see this, but this is how America have come to be the great country it is today. It was built on what you see. Bloodshed. And then to show you the pride of those that took the Indians down, they had photographers take pictures of the mass graves pushing the Gadites, or the North American Indians, in the graves. Okay? Now, we're not bringing this out to say that you need to seek any type of vengeance, because vengeance belongs to the Most High. But in order for us to show you the truth, we have to bring out the facts. It doesn't matter how raw they are. We have to bring out the facts, because if they were bold enough to put it in a book, we're bold enough to show it.
Wow.
Okay?
That's right.
Read that again in Genesis 49 and 19.
Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last.
Gad, you don't have to worry about it, because you will overcome at the last. You will overcome. Been pushed into reservations. Been destroyed. The only thing you got to show for all this great land is a few casinos. The Lord says you will overcome. See, your father, Jacob, told you that even though you went through these things, Gad, or the North American Indian, you will overcome. Okay? So according to the Bible, you didn't come over here through the barren straits. You're spiritual people dealing with the Great Spirit, because you come from the seeds of Israel. More.
That's it. They always said
Let's get Deuteronomy 33 and 20 and 21.
I knew. You knew what they were saying.
Read that.
And of Gad he said, blessed be he that enlargeth Gad. He dwelleth as a lion, and teareth the arm with the crown of the head.
Read that again.
And of Gad he said, blessed be he that enlargeth Gad.
Go ahead.
He dwelleth as a lion, and teareth the arm with the crown of the head.
He dwelleth as a lion, to let you know that he would dwell in the wilderness.
It cuts the arm.
And teareth the crown. With the read that part again. With the what?
And teareth the arm with the crown of the head.
With the crown of the head, to let you know that they would use the feathers to tear their hand to make blood packs.
Wow.
Or peace packs. So they would take the feather out of their crown, would tear their hand in shape, and make peace packs.
Wow.
Representing how the North American Indians made agreements. Showing you showing you the Gadites had all this land, the buffalo. This land was beautiful. And these winters were bitter winters. When the Europeans came over, they taught the Europeans how to live on the land. Showed them how to dry out food and make things like beef jerky to live through the winter. Showed them how to hunt in the land. Okay? Go to Psalms 55 and 20 real quick.
Well, don't worry. America's Day is coming.
Psalms 55 and 20.
Where's your love, brother? Never mind where our love is.
Breaking down Gad.
Most High going to even the slate real soon.
Read that.
He hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him.
To let you know that the people that came over here, the European powers, put forth his hand with those that was at peace with him. The Indians just wanted peace. It's like, listen, this land is big enough for all of us. They just wanted peace. But through peace, they received the sword. They received diseases. They received their people being destroyed and a new God being taught to them. Read.
He had broken his covenant.
They broke their agreement. There was over 300 some odd peace treaties made.
Wow.
And each covenant or agreement was broken here in this country. Talking about the agreements they made with the North American Indian tribe of Gad. Go ahead.
The words of his mouth were smoother than butter.
Their words were smoother than butter.
What?
Smooth. You speak with forked tongue. That's what Gad used to tell them. Because it seems like everything was all right. But they would get one land, they would talk and say, listen, we can all live together. And they would push them further and further and further and further until they pushed them in the reservation with that smooth tongue. But what was in their heart? Read.
But war was in his heart.
But what?
But war was in his heart.
Even though you signed your treaties and you spoke with great words and your words were smoother than butter, it was war in your heart or your mind. The whole.
So before we go into Revelation, just 14, I want to make some remarks on what Elder Ricard just brought out. We just identified the tribe of Zebulon as the Guatemalans and the Panamanians. The Gadites are the Native American Indians, and the Issacharites are the so-called, what we would call Mexicans today. And look at what the Europeans, the Roman Catholic Church did to these people.
Look where they are today. They're all in Catholicism and Christianity, and they don't belong there. That's how deceived they are. They don't mean to be, but the brainwashing of centuries has destroyed them and destroyed their real faith.
And before we go in, let me get next video ready. What do I want to show next? After we put this on for 10 minutes, after we go on. Next thing we're going to share is the transatlantic slave trade, historical documentary, or the middle passage after we read and break down Revelation 14. So before we start with Revelation 14, Elder Ricard brought out a point about how Esau made covenants with the people that were here, right?
Yeah. Go ahead, Josh.
Let me put us on before so they can see us right fast before we read.
And let them know who Esau is, Josh, when you tell them Esau. Because they're thinking back in the Bible days. Maybe.
So before we go on, Elder Ricard made a point about, and I just want to elaborate on it right fast.
Just move over, Josh.
And bring this.
All right, that's good, Josh. That's good. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, see, wait.
You should get this book. Yeah. Hold on.
Go ahead, Josh.
Get this book. I'm about to show you. The Miseducation of the Negro. It's a very interesting book so far. I want to use Elder Ricard's point to bring out this point. So, not only did these people break all their covenants, they used science or their education system to teach a system of inferiority to the people they conquered. So they would look up to the people who oppressed them and ask them to deliver them from them.
Which ain't happening.
So if we so that's showing us that nothing has changed and the Bible is true.
That's right.
That's why they don't want people to believe in the Bible, because The Bible holds the only truth that can liberate you and save the oppressed.
That's right. That's right, Josh.
If you want to talk
All in the
about,
Word.
if that's why the Bible tells you to remember the days of old and consider the years of many generations. The Bible never tells you to forgive and forget.
That's right.
That is a white lie,
Mhm.
so they can couch themselves underneath that from criticism.
Very good.
And then they want to self-righteously judge other nations for supposedly doing wicked things when they've been doing all this wickedness since they've set foot here.
To them, that's right.
So,
That's right.
Revelation 14.
All right.
Hold on.
Okay.
Revelation chapter 14 and 1.
All right. We've gone through the books pretty slow and expounded, I think, as best we know how. And I believe who's ever listening, since we've started Revelation, our views have went way up. And I'm really happy about that. Not because there's a lot of people listening to us, Tony, but because they're getting understanding from Revelation. Because a lot of Christian churches will tell their people that you really can't understand. It's a lot of metaphors, a lot of allegory, and it's really not. It's about a people. It's about a certain people.
So, verse 1, Dad.
All right. Revelation chapter 14, the song of the 144,000. And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his father's name written in their foreheads.
So basically, okay, so who are the 144,000? 12,000 from each of the 12 tribes of Israel. And as we know from Revelation 7, 1 through that the gates of the city of the kingdom of heaven will have the children of Israel's names in them. So keep reading.
And I heard a voice from heaven as the voice of many waters, nations, right? And as the voice of a great thunder. And I heard the voice of harpers harping with their harps. And they sung as it were a new song before the throne and before the four beasts and the elders. And no man could learn that song but the 144,000 which were redeemed from the earth. These are they which are not defiled with women. Expound, John.
In other words, these are the ones the Most High has saved out of these religions, and they haven't been defiled by. They have repented, and they are no longer defiled
with religion.
By religion.
That's right. For they are virgins. These are they which follow the Lamb whatsoever he goeth. These were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits unto the Most High and to the Lamb. And in their mouth was found no guile. For they are without fault. For they are with sin.
They what?
For they are without fault before the throne of the Most High.
Read.
The message of the three angels. And I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting true word to preach unto them that dwell on the earth.
What is that everlasting word?
Come on.
Go to let's go. Well, we can't go. Let's go to Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes 12:13.
You have the Proverbs, correct? 13, Josh?
12:13.
Huh, Tony?
12:13.
12:13. Okay. Hold on. 12:13. Okay. Ready? When we all have it?
So be it.
All right, Mary, you got it? Let's wait for Mary.
Okay.
You got it, honey? All right, ready? 12:13. Say it again, Josh, so I don't get lost in what we're going to.
Ecclesiastes 12:13.
No, what we were just reading in Revelation.
Revelation 14:6.
Okay, here's the precept. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear the Most High and keep his Sunday church.
Keep his what?
Keep his Wednesday night service.
Commandment.
Keep his what?
Commandment.
For this is the whole duty of man.
So the whole duty of man is the keeping of the commandments of the Most High, correct?
That's right. For the Most High shall bring
Stop.
it up. Okay,
So,
all right. Go back.
let's go to the Apocrypha.
Okay.
Sirach chapter 1, verse 5.
All right. Ecclesiasticus, right? Oh, Barak. Barak what, Josh? Barak.
Barak. Ecclesiastes.
Oh,
Read the-
what chapter?
1:5.
Oh, 1. Okay. 1:5. 1:5. You got it. Ready?
Hold on.
All right. All right, Ecclesiasticus. All right, everybody have it?
Yeah.
You got it, Josh?
Huh?
You got it, Mary?
Oh, yeah.
Hold on, Ed. Say something right fast.
All right. As we're finding it in the Bible, we're going to it. Everybody go to Ecclesiasticus 1:5. And just be patient because Revelation is not really deep. If you know who you're reading about, right, Tony, Mary? If you know who the tribes are, then it's really simple, Revelation. It's not a hard book to read. But you've been brainwashed, Christian church, by a lot of your pastors telling you that you can't understand it, and that's a lie. You know why? Because they don't understand it, because they were lied to. Not all pastors, but most. So, all right, ready? We got it?
Yes.
Okay, ready?
Okay, read that.
The word of the Most High is the fountain of wisdom, and her ways are everlasting commandments,
Or what?
are everlasting forever commandments.
So the Most High has the word that the angel brought were the commandments, the everlasting gospel. Right?
That's right. Come on.
It wasn't Christianity or
Nope.
religion.
Nope, sure wasn't.
It was the law of the Most High.
It's really saddens me when I hear these presidents talk about you can serve any God you want and all the churches agree with you. That's the biggest deception that's in the Christian church.
So,
Not all of them, though. A lot of them don't believe that, but a lot do. You know, you can worship the way you want. You know, you can worship when you want. No, there's only one holy day.
so
You can praise him all day, but you can't.
Revelation 14 and 6, Dad.
All right. Let me finish that, right? Revelation 14:6. Okay, I didn't finish this. But, all right, 6, Josh.
Uh-huh.
And I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven,
Uh-huh.
having the everlasting. Oh, I read that. Okay, hold
So
on.
the
No, we're
everlasting
7, Josh.
commandment. So
No, I did.
You didn't.
Look, saying with a loud voice, fear Ahayah and give glory to him. For the hour, right, I'm sorry, honey. All right, that dwell on the earth, and to every nation and kindred and tongue and people. Right. That's right. I didn't finish it. All right, good. Saying with a loud voice, fear Ahayah and give glory to him. For the hour of his judgment is come. And worship him that made heaven and earth, and the sea,
and
and the fountains of waters.
so again, referring back to to Genesis 2 and 1, and
Go ahead.
when he created the earth and he rested on the Sabbath.
All right.
So these two scriptures are actually referring you back to the law, the law of Moses. The gospel that he was teaching was the law.
Come on.
Read.
Good, Mary 8.
And there followed another angel saying, Babylon is fallen.
So, who is Babylon? Go to, hold on, let me look it up.
Jeremiah 50 or 51.
Let's get an Old Testament precept first.
Okay. So we're still in 8, right? We didn't finish 8. Okay. Isaiah, Josh.
Isaiah 47. Let me get it for everybody so they can follow us. Isaiah 47 first, 8, 7, and 8, then Revelation 18.
Okay. Isaiah where? 47, right?
Isaiah 47
All right. I'll read it.
precepts to Revelation.
All right. Finish 8 when we go back.
7 and 8.
7 and
All
8.
right, 47 where?
7 and
7 and 8?
Wait. I said Isaiah. Okay, Isaiah.
You sure? 47, 8?
7 and 8.
You said 1? Isaiah first chapter?
No.
Isaiah's 47.
Why you got 1 there? Put 47.
47.
Yeah, you got 1 up there on the screen. All right, 47. And what, verse?
7.
7. Ready? Okay. And thou saidest, I shall be a lady forever.
Now, Babylon, what nation has a lady as its symbol?
Come on.
Lady Liberty, United States. Read.
That's right. Thou saidest, I shall be a lady forever, so that thou didst not lay these things to thy heart.
So you just lived your own way in this nation.
Mhm.
That describes America. Read.
Neither didst remember the latter end of it. All right.
Verse 8.
Therefore, hear now this.
Now, therefore, hear thou what?
This,
So hear this, America.
that thou that art given to pleasures.
What nation of the earth is given to more pleasures and more indulgences than America?
That's right.
Right?
That's right. That dwelleth carelessly.
What nation dwells as if they can do whatever they want and
Come on.
it doesn't affect them?
That's right.
Read.
That says in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me.
We're the moral authority. We have the way, the true way, and we use the Bible to couch our evil, so we can do what we want. Read.
Wow. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children.
Read.
But
what?
But these two things shall come to thee in a moment.
In a what?
In a moment.
Read.
In an hour. In one day.
In what?
One day.
Read.
The loss of children.
The what?
The loss of children.
The blessing of your children.
The loss of
the
children.
Safety.
And widowhood.
And what?
Widowhood.
Read.
They shall come upon thee in their perfection.
Revelation 18, 7.
18, 7.
Start with verse.
Yeah, 18, 7. Just take your time again. Wow. See, all you hear today is mostly blessing, blessing, blessing. Raise my hands to the phony white Jesus that the Pope made up. Just blessing, blessing, blessing. And America's out to kill you.
Let's read verse 6.
6.
Revelation 18 and verse 6, Dad.
All right.
I got it.
I got it crossed. What's it start with? Huh?
Reward.
Reward.
I reward you. Oh, and double unto her.
So the
Or
Bible,
reward her even as she rewarded
the
you.
Bible says to John,
Go ahead.
America will be rewarded for the wickedness they have done upon the children of Israel.
Come on.
Read.
And double
And
unto
what?
and double.
And what?
Double
Double the judgment.
unto double, according to her works, in the cup which she had filled with her, filled to her double. How much she had glorified herself.
What nation
Wow.
glorifies itself
That's
so
right,
greatly?
America. And lived deliciously.
What nation lives so indulgent? You can get whatever, you can go into any city in this nation and get any fleshly pleasure you want tickled at a moment.
That's right. So
Read.
much torment. And
So what's what?
So much torment.
So much blessing.
So much peace.
So much love.
Torment.
So much what?
Torment.
Read.
And sorrow.
And what?
Sorrow.
And what?
Sorrow.
And pain. Read.
Sorrow. Give her.
Give to America. Read.
For she said in her heart,
So,
I sit a queen.
so
Wow.
nothing's going to happen.
Statue of Liberty.
Read.
Wow. And am no widow.
And am no widow.
And
Read.
shall see no sorrow.
Uh-huh.
Therefore shall her plagues
For shall her what?
her plagues come in one day. Death,
That what?
death,
Peace.
death,
Joy.
death,
Read.
and mourning,
And mourning and what?
famine,
And plenty.
famine,
And partying.
famine. And she shall be utterly burned
She
with
shall be what?
utterly burned, with-
Utterly loved by God.
burned with fire.
God loves America.
Oh, where's your love, brother?
Haven't you heard God bless America?
Yeah, right. Yeah, you
God burn America.
keep, yeah, you keep dreaming.
Go back to Revelation 14 now.
You better get out of debt.
14 and 8, Dad.
I
What?
got it.
You're at the end of 8, Mary.
It's
Wait.
full-
Wait,
Let me get it. So
hold on, hon.
Revelation 14, 8. Just read the whole verse over.
And there followed another angel, saying, Babylon has fallen, is fallen.
That's the Europe. Wait. That's Rome and the European powers headquartered in America. Read.
That great city, because she made
What is the city that reigns over the earth? The UN.
Come on.
all nations drink of the wine of
Take
the
your time.
wrath of her fornication.
Uh-huh. That.
Okay. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast,
Which is
come on,
the American idealism.
come on, in
Read.
his image,
Read.
and receive his mark in his forehead.
Now we know through through CERN, through these different technologies that Satan and the fallen angels have given to their children, that they will end up bringing up Apollyon or Abaddon out of the bottomless pit, and
Wow.
people will worship the beast.
That's the mark of the forehead. You're going to be turned over. You're going to have a reprobate mind.
Uh-huh.
Or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of Ahayah,
Uh-huh.
which is poured out without mixture.
So whoever worships this beast and takes the mark of the beast will drink of the wrath of the Most High and of Christ. Read.
Into the cup of his indignation,
Read.
and he shall be tormented
Uh-huh.
with fire and brimstone. in
Wait.
the-
He shall. So the Most High. So he's gonna. These individuals, these people who take the mark, will be what?
tormented
Read.
with fire, brimstone. Oh, I thought there's no hell. In the
Uh-huh.
presence of the holy angels, and in the presence of the Lamb.
That's in Christ's presence and the angels.
Wow.
Read.
And the smoke of their torment
Uh-huh.
ascended up forever and ever.
Uh-huh.
And they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever received the mark of his name.
Which is the RFID chip.
Come on. The biometrics, right?
Uh-huh.
Here is the patience of the saints.
And we know the
Saints.
saints are the children of Israel,
That's
and
right.
whoever keeps the commandments of the Most High.
That's
Read.
right. Here are they that keep the commandments.
Wait, they keep the what?
Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of
No,
the
they
Most
keep
High.
Christianity.
They keep the commandments of the Most High
They keep religion.
and have faith in Christ with the commandments.
See how faith and the law comes together? It's a perfect uniting of the two principles. The old and the new joined together through the Messiah.
Let me say something. You be careful out there, folks, who's listening. Don't let these pastors tell you that the law is done away with. It is not. And I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, Write, blessed are the dead which die in the Most High from henceforth.
So if you die with the testimony of the commandments in Christ, that is a blessing.
You have a chance now.
So in other words, what do you have to do? You have to be killed now. Because those FEMA camps are coming, guillotines are coming, and whatever else they're going to do to kill you is
Let me
coming.
say something now. Now you see what Joshua said? You're gonna be killed, but you guess what? You're not gonna die. You know what's gonna happen? You're not gonna die for Christ. Now you're gonna give in and take the chip because you don't want to die, because you can't die at that time when you're running in this world, right, guys? Running for all the glory, running for money, things. It's gonna be almost impossible for you to say no to the chip.
Uh-huh.
So you better get right. You better get right. We're not saying that you're not allowed to be blessed, but if those things are holding you and you don't believe what we're saying here, you're going to have a problem. Yea, saith the Spirit, that they may rest from their labors, and their faith do follow them.
Their what?
And their faith do follow them.
And their works.
What follows them?
Their works follow them.
Now you got to have faith, but works are going to follow you to the throne. The harvest of the earth. And I looked, and behold, a white cloud, a chariot, and upon the cloud one sat like unto the golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle. And another angel came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice to him that sat on the cloud. Look at the cloud, the chariot. Thrust in thy sickle, and reap, for the time is come for thee to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe. And he that sat on the cloud thrust in his sickle on the earth, and the earth was reaped. And another angel came out of the temple, which sat in heaven, he also having a sharp sickle. And another angel came out from the altar, which had power over fire, and cried with a loud cry to him that had the sharp sickle, saying, Thrust in thy sharp sickle, and gather the clusters of the vine of the earth, for her grapes are fully ripe.
That's the children of Israel.
That's right. Go ahead, Mary.
And the angel thrust his sickle
In
his sickle into the earth, and gathered the vine of the earth, and cast it into the great winepress of the wrath of Ahayah.
Wait, you see? Hold on, Josh. So, yeah, and the angel thrust in his sickle, watch, into the earth, and gathered the vine of the earth, and cast it into the great winepress of the wrath of Ahayah. So that wasn't Israel. Right, okay.
Okay.
Well, that's all right. And the winepress was trodden without the city, and blood came out of the winepress, even unto the horses' bridles, by the space of 1,600 furlongs. Wow. Man. Now, do you understand, viewers? It's all about Israel. It's all about you, tribes. It's not about no one else, the tribulation. Yeah, people are going to be involved, right? Maybe they're going to be dying, right, Tony? But it's really about you and Esau. That's what it's about.
It's all in the family.
It's all in the true family of the powers to be today, and that's not the Most High I'm talking about, who rule the earth. They are so sick with greed and money that they really think they can defeat Yashayah coming back. That's how sick they are. And they're going to be thrown into the lake of fire. Now, Satan's got his army. And that's the Rothschilds, the Bushes, that's all the elite of the world that are running the world. But the Apocrypha says Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is that which is to come. So anybody who's a Gentile, that's like us, right? We're keeping the Sabbath, we keep the feast, right, Tom, Mary? Yeah. We keep the holy days, we eat right. We have a chance to make it with Israel, to serve under them. But if you're without, what does Revelation say? 14? 20-14? Those who are without are dogs, sorcerers.
So we're going to listen.
Okay. Can you close your Bibles?
Pair of fetters. By supporting the fetters with a string, they can walk, though very slowly. Every 4 slaves are likewise fastened together by the necks with a strong rope or twisted thongs, and in the night an additional pair of fetters is put on their hands, and sometimes a light iron chain passed around their necks. Mungo Park, British explorer.
Coming down from the interior to the coast, I mean, nobody's made any provisions for food or for the comfort of these people. People who are unable to make the journey, who get sick or become weak and unable to move on, are left to die.
While I was with his enemies in the camp, I saw a child of about 18 months old cast out of the camp because the child was so young that nobody would buy him. That poor orphan was there crying at the point of death for about 2 days, and none took pity to pick him up. Joseph Wright, former African captive.
No matter what happens, they are certainly ill-treated physically, they're certainly ill-treated psychologically and so forth, because they're taken from their homes, taken to a place they know not where. They don't have a clue as to what is going to happen to them. And they have all these images that must have been going through their minds, being eaten perhaps, or whatever else may happen to them. And so these are things that are immeasurable. You cannot tell how bad this treatment is.
On the coast were the castles, more than 50 of them, financed by European slave trading companies like the British Royal African Company, the Danish West India Company, and the Bank of Amsterdam. These large fortresses were built into the cliffs and served as living quarters for the European traders and government officials, and temporary prisons for millions of Africans. Some still stand along the coast of what is now Ghana, Nigeria, the Ivory Coast, Benin, Togo, and Gambia.
See, the world took advantage
Today, they're known as points of no return.
But you can come out of the curses if you so choose.
The logins in the
you got to get out of religion. You got to get out of
Christianity. Well built of brick.
You got to get out of Muslim. You got to get away from religion.
It will conveniently contain 1,000 blacks. The keeping of the slaves thus underground is a good security against any insurrection. Jean Barbeau, slaver.
I took my son, who was 5 years old, to one of the slave castles. I wanted to take him into one of the dungeons, and he refused to go in. It looked so terrible to him. But I wanted him to see that. Looking at this dungeon, the darkness, the smelly place, it's like, where did the slaves sleep? Where did they go to the bathroom? Why did they do this to them? They're all of them questions that only a child can ask.
Will they leave me in this fearful place forever? I will not stay here. I will not. The smell is bad and it is too dark.
They weren't loaded directly onto the ship. There were factories on the coast. The Africans were sold to these people, and then they sold them to the ships. And this was an economic enterprise.
How could a situation be created whereby a small group of Europeans would enslave so many Africans in those horrendous conditions?
They succeeded by having greater firepower and military power. They succeeded also by their having a drive to conquer the rest of the world.
One day, the white men arrived in ships with wings, which shone in the sun like knives. From that day, the whites brought us nothing but wars and miseries. Oral history from Pende tribe.
Most of the Africans who were brought from the interior had not seen white men until and they were afraid of white men. And for some reason, they seemed, most of them, to get the idea that the white man was a cannibal, and they were taken to be killed and eaten.
The blacks were all stripped naked and shipped by 2s and 3s in canoes through the surf. They are so willful and loath to leave their own country that they have often leaped out of the canoes, boat, and ship into the sea and kept underwater till they were drowned to avoid being taken up and saved by our boats, which pursued them. Thomas Phillips, slave ship captain.
As the ships departed, the Africans saw the sun rising east over their homeland for the last time.
This is a place that is taking away people. So it's like terror in it. It's not just the physical slave trade, it's the terror that people feel when they see the approach of these vessels. So there's tremendous fear as to what these ships represent.
Is this the great thing where the bad people will eat us? Maybe they won't see me. Shh, shh, don't move. Be quiet. Don't move.
Wednesday, June 12th. Buried a man slave, number 84, of flux, which he'd been struggling with near 7 weeks. Thursday, June 13th. This morning, buried a woman slave, number 47. Know not what to say she died of. She'd not been properly alive since she first came on board. Monday, June 24th. Buried a slave boy, number 158, and a girl, number 172. Captain John Wheaton's logbook.
The exact number of Africans captured and delivered to the New World will probably never be known. It has been estimated that 15 million Africans began the journey to the United States, South America, and the Caribbean. And of those, at least 2 are.
Remember, these are Hebrews, they're not Africans. They ended up in Africa.
The shrieks of the women and the groans of the dying rendered the voice
of these people don't do their research.
Inconceivable. Olaudah Egbiani, former African captain.
I cannot see my home, my country. Where did they take my people? Who will take care of me down there?
To meet the demand of having to transport human cargo, ships had to be redesigned. Tight packers held up to 1,000 captives, seated below deck with no space between them. Loose packers carried approximately 250 captives, locked in a prone position, arranged on wooden racks 6 feet long and 1 foot wide. The average length of the journey was 8 weeks.
We heard the moans, cries, and rumblings coming from below. And as soon as the captain and crew were removed, the hatches had been taken off, when there arose a hot blast, sickening and overpowering. In the hold were 300 or 400 human beings, gasping and struggling for breath. Some were stiffened in the most unnatural positions. J. Taylor Wood, Anti-Slavery Squadron.
Early slave ships did not provide ventilation for the crowded conditions below.
If you look at some of the surgeons who worked on some of these slave ships, they'll tell you how hot it got in some of these slave holds, that sometimes the candles that the surgeons used to see in the holes often would not burn because there was not enough oxygen.
It is an unbearable situation. And when you speak about it, even the visual doesn't do it. You got to get the smell.
The slave ships had names like Brotherhood, John the Baptist, Justice and Integrity, Gift of God, Liberty, and Jesus. The crews came from around the world, men and boys.
Wow. And who are these people running these ships? Jews?
These people
White Jews?
were scared to death. They were
Khazarians?
stripped of dignity and stripped physically and put on board ship. They didn't know where they were going, what their future was going to be. They were treated like animals, really like animals. They were a product, a piece of merchandise.
You hear stories, of course, of women who took their babies and
Okay.
I want to let you know again that Africa housed millions of Hebrews from Israel. And these are the ones that they took to America.
A couple more clips, then we'll 2 more 10-minute servings, then we'll close.
You did that already.
Which Yahuwah shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck.
And we just showed that in the documentary about the slave trade, how they put chains and different restraints upon your necks. It's all in the Bible, people. You need to get out of these churches.
Just let me say something. Because of the scriptures that you were twisted not to believe that those scriptures were talking about you, they kept that from you. That's how they hid the truth from you. That's why they don't want you to read the Old Testament.
Who is your little friend?
This is Ben. He's an old Joe that lived around here for a long time. I do mean a long damn time. Old Ben here took care of my daddy and my daddy's daddy till he up and killed over one day. Old Ben took care of me. Growing up the son of a huge plantation owner in Mississippi puts a white man in contact with a whole lot of black faces. I spent my whole life here, right here in Camdenland, surrounded by black faces. I've seen them every day, day in, day out. I only had one question. Why don't they kill us? Now, right out there on that porch, 3 times a week for 50 years, old Ben here would shave my daddy with a straight razor. Now, if I was old Ben, I would have cut my daddy's goddamn throat, and it wouldn't have taken me no 50 years to do it neither. But he never did.
So listen to what. So basically, what he's saying is, it surprises people that all the so-called Negroes here in America, the children of Israel, haven't gathered together and tried to do anything. Because when you condition a people to be inferior mentally, they'll stay inferior.
That's right.
And they'll never see the strength they have over you to do anything. And I'm not saying rise up, but the Messiah is going to rise you up.
That's right.
But your people have been so divided, like this guy is saying, he would have killed his daddy if he was a slave. But let's...
Why not? See, science of phrenology is crucial to understanding the separation of our 2 species. In the skull of the...
Now listen, how they use this branch of knowledge called science to teach that black people were inferior to white people. He's about to tell you how they program black people today to be inferior mentally.
They do it with chemicals and food.
Any other subhuman species on planet Earth. Examine this piece of skull here. Notice 3 distinct dimples. Here, here, and here. Now, if I was holding the skull of an Isaac Newton or Galileo, these 3 dimples would be found in the area of the skull most associated with creativity. This is the skull of Old Ben. And in the skull of Old Ben, unburdened by genius, these 3 dimples exist in the area of the skull most associated with civility. Now, Barak, I will admit you are pretty clever. But if I took this hammer here and I bashed in your skull with it, you would have the same 3 dimples in the same place as Old Ben.
In other words, black people's minds are inferior to white people.
That's what they're trying to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not true.
Wives, submit
Your minds are actually
yourselves
greater.
to your husbands as fitting in the Lord. Husbands, love your wives and do not be harsh with them. Children, obey your parents in everything, for this pleases the Lord. Slaves, obey your earthly masters in everything, not only when their eye is on you and to curry the favor, but with sincerity of the heart and referring to the
In other
Lord.
words, Negro, obey your slave master, and if you don't, you're disobeying God, because God is white.
Huh.
Oh, I don't believe it.
You're the greatest people in the world.
Boy.
See how they
I
changed
ain't
it
been
around?
on you, sir.
Pay up, gentlemen. It's dangerous, you know. Teaching them to read? That's true. That Turner was taught to read. Nonsense. Let me show you. Boy, can you explain to me the meaning of what you just read?
No, master.
See? It's like a parrot reciting Shakespeare. Well done, Elam. Well done.
Imagine you and your family living in this barn, forced to live like animals and with animals. No heat, no electricity, none of the things we commonly take for granted. This is the case of one family, held as slaves up until the 1960s. We found this barn at Grange Hall Road and MS Highway 568 near Vicksburg, Mississippi in July 2009. This is the true life story of former slave May Louise Miller.
But you know, I came from a very poor family, and we was in slavery. We didn't have food, clothes, shoes. We really didn't have much of nothing. And the clothes we had was a cocoa sack. Each one of us had a cocoa sack with 3 holes cut in it, and that was your clothes. Colored dress. We had no shoes. We had to kill what we eat. We didn't have a stove. We really didn't even have a house. We lived laid on the grass, on the dirt. The hay was our bed, and we covered with the hay was our pillow. We laid with snakes. We ate snakes. We ate the crickets. We ate the worms. We ate the birds. We ate the bird eggs. We ate the rabbits. We ate the frogs. We just kind of like Tarzan. But it was that come in front of you. That was your meal, if you called it. And that was mother. It was more than me, but I don't call it. But if we caught a worm, each one of us took a bite of that worm. If we caught a cricket, all three.
So we see the mental anguish that some of these people still have to dealing with what happened to their people in chattel slavery.
You can't ask your government to help you. They are not going to do it. They don't want to see you free.
Designed with precision,
your mind first, and your spirit.
infused with intelligence,
You got to come out of
engineered
Babylon
with advanced
first
lithium power.
To be set free.
And they're simply.
Doesn't matter what kind of job you have, how much you make.
I didn't think that it was it. I think it was cancer. But to be on the safe side, I asked my doctor.
Most cancers of any racial or ethnic group in the nation as of 2005. Also diseases like kidney stones, tuberculosis, polio, parasitic diseases, bilharzia, guinea worm, roundworm, tapeworm were found among the mummies of Egypt. Were also found in Black Americans today, just like the scripture says.
Moreover, he will bring upon thee all the diseases of Egypt, which thou wast afraid of, and they shall cleave unto thee. Also every sickness and every plague, which is not written in the book of this law, them will Yahweh bring upon thee until thou be destroyed. Yahweh will smite thee with the botch of Egypt, and with the emerods, and with the scab, and with the itch, whereof thou canst not be healed.
Blacks account for 13% of the United States population, and about half, that's 49% of the people who get HIV and AIDS. HIV and AIDS is actually targeted against our people.
In 20 years, AIDS has become the worst medical
Look at this
catastrophe ever
maniac that's killing
experienced
your
by
people in
humankind.
Africa with injections, poison.
I had a source in California,
And people
an
are
AIDS
praising
treatment
in America,
activist, who sent me a packet of clips one day saying, this is a bombshell story waiting for an investigative reporter. What I had been sent was a couple of documents saying, well, it's all very well and good to talk about these bizarre tribal rituals or other possible explanations of the cause of AIDS, but it is a fact that the virus, the monkey virus SV40, was transmitted to millions of people across the world.
Tom Curtis speculated that if during the 50s polio vaccines were contaminated with the monkey virus SV40, something similar could have happened with AIDS.
Well, he's got his day coming too.
SLV, the ancestor of the AIDS virus, is also a monkey virus. And Curtis connected this fact to a mass polio vaccination campaign in the Congo.
Heart disease is the leading cause of death for Black Americans, averaging nearly 1 million deaths per year. 3.7 million, that's 14% of all Black Americans aged 20 years or older have diabetes. 43% of black women and 39% of black men suffer from hypertension. That's high blood pressure.
The reason why the so-called black people are the sickest people in the country is because the so-called black people, which are indeed the Israelites according to the scriptures, have transgressed the laws, the statutes, the commandments of the Most High Yah. And in return, he promised to punish us for worshiping gods of wood and of stone. And that's why when you look at Deuteronomy chapter 28, Leviticus 26, and Isaiah chapter 3, you see these curses being evident on the men and the women of the Most High Yah. And the cure for that curse is just for us to repent and follow his ways, his statutes and commandments, and return those things from us.
Now you heard from someone else now, like us. You can come out of these curses.
He has from cancer. And because I'm a health coach, I'm in the health coach, okay, and my message comes from the word and reading, the diet and the law, okay, that I try to relate to people, and of course, you know what response I get from them, but as I look at them and dealing with different sicknesses, it still all comes to the same thing. You know, a lot of our sicknesses come from the curses. You know, in Deuteronomy 28, it explains when you do such and such a thing, you're going to get this sickness and that sickness. Bitterness can cause bone cancer when you have it against someone, okay? And so I think about that. My father died from cancer, but he was, now he probably hoping to still be living at 90-something years old. But anyway, he was involved in the occult. And the occult was the masonry. It was 8th degree, masonry 8.5 or whatever they call it. And because they used to meet, this group met out in Belleville, Michigan. Okay, my mother was in the Eastern Star, and then my whole family got saved like boom, boom, boom. You know, 5 brothers, 2 sisters, we had 3, myself, my mother, father, a couple other people, and our family. We was on fire. You know, we were filled with the Ruach. You know, I mean, we were totally on fire. We've seen so many things, and we studied together, you know, at our house, you know, all the time. I mean, every day. Anyway, with him being involved in that, one of the curses is when God's people, any people actually are involved in the occult, they will eventually get cancer. Okay, even a person that's healthy, never been sick before, and they get it, and they wonder where did they get it from? It's not just from the food. Yes, you get cancer from the food, but it's also mainly caused there's a spiritual root to it. You know, by being involved in the occult, which could include witchcraft too. And you all know a lot about people throughout time in different areas. You know, were involved in witchcraft. Yes, you know, witchcraft.
Now, there were some specific laws that were given to the children of Israel regarding what we eat, who we marry, what we're to do, observing the Shabbat or the Sabbath. And many of us have been told or taught that none of this stuff matters anymore. Not nowhere in the Most High's words did he say none of this matters anymore. But what you have are men who have established their own righteousness, their own tradition, and they said that it doesn't matter. And what they're doing too is they are passing off their doctrines as the doctrines of the Most High and causing people to err.
Isaiah chapter 9, verse 16. For the leaders of this people cause them to err, and they that are led of them are destroyed.
Wow.
A good example of the things that we are commanded not to eat.
Go back a month ago.
We have been taught
watch
through
our
the
program.
mistranslations of Scripture and the false teachings of Christianity that you can bless and eat whatever you want. Now, if I were to say to some of you that we're going to barbecue some elephant meat today, and we're going to have a side of fried rats and some boiled cat and dog, many of you would look at me as if I'm gross, you see. But pig, on the other hand, you have so-called black people having pig roast. Now, the scripture said that that's an unclean, defiled animal. But your pastor told you that if you bless it, you can eat it. Why then are people getting brain worms, high blood pressure, and all kinds of diseases from eating food that the Most High told us not to eat. We cannot go ahead and establish our own laws and our own righteousness and misinterpret scripture and disregard clear instructions that the Most High have given us. He even said that in that day, anyone who's found eating mice or swine is going to be judged. So take that into consideration the next time you try to bless the poor. Why then are your loved ones dying from strokes and high blood pressure and all these other diseases? We are to eat clean and we are to eat right. When the Most High says something, his word goes forth out of his mouth and it shall not return void. When he said that we are to bless the food that we eat, he was speaking of things that were already determined to be food. He wasn't talking about rats or elephants or pigs or catfish or shrimp. Those things are unclean. They were unclean in the Old Testament and they're unclean today.
For behold, Yahuwah will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by his sword will Yahuwah plead with all flesh, and the slain of Yahuwah shall be many. They that sanctify themselves and purify themselves in the gardens behind one tree in the midst, eating swine's flesh, and the abomination and the mouse shall be consumed together, saith Yahuwah.
Wow. So
you know what the mouse means too?
Yahuwah shall make
squirrel, rabbit,
cleave unto
part of the
thee,
mouse family.
until he have consumed thee from off the land, whither thou goest to possess it. Yahuwah shall smite thee with a consumption, and with a fever, and with an inflammation, and with an extreme burning, and with the sword, and with blasting, and with mildew, and they shall pursue thee until thou perish.
It is common in most black neighborhoods to find rats, mice, fleas, flies, and roaches. I've seen people put their trash cans on a table in the backyard just to keep the rats from getting into the garbage cans. Roach infestations is a common thing in black communities. Just like the scripture says, the pestilence shall cleave unto them.
But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of Yahuwah thy Elohim, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field. Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store. Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy land, and the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep. Cursed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and cursed shalt thou be when thou goest out. Yahuwah shall send upon thee cursing, vexation, and rebuke, and all that thou settest thine hand unto for to do, until thou be destroyed, and until thou perish quickly, because of the wickedness of thy doings, whereby thou hast forsaken me.
I knew there was something going on when I went through certain black neighborhoods and noticed the same problems and the same patterns of dysfunction. From family to family, city to city, state to state, I see some of the same issues. And these issues are now a normal way of life for most of us. The legacy we leave for our offspring are a pile of problems ranging from poverty to sickness. Now, some of us, as individuals have risen above some of these issues, but as a whole, these things have gotten worse over the years.
So can you come out of the curses? Yes, you can. But you got to get out of religion. You got to come out of Babylon. You heard it all tonight. You know what Babylon is? America. America is religious. America's president says you can worship who you want. You're in America. The Bible doesn't say that.
The Bible.
Right, people?
Again, the Bible doesn't say that.
The word doesn't say that.
The Bible says, go to Exodus. We'll close with that.
All
Exodus 3. Exodus 21, 1 through 3. Exodus 21, 2, 3, everybody. 1 through 3.
Chapter 1, Josh?
3, verse
Chapter,
Exodus
what chapter?
20.
I got it.
Exodus 20, the first 3.
All right. 20, the first 3, right?
Yep.
Okay, ready? Exodus. First verse. And Ahayah spake all these words, saying, I am the Most High thy power, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt.
And he's going to bring you out of Egypt again, or America.
He even
again.
says it right at there. Look, out of the house of bondage. Egypt and bondage is
or
America.
synonymous.
That's right. That's America.
Uh-huh.
Thou shalt have no other gods.
No other what?
Thou shalt have no other gods.
In other words,
before me.
Or ideas or philosophies of God before me, because
like the white Christ, that's a phony God. That's a false
other
God.
diets.
Come on.
Eating unclean food, Sunday worship, or other gods. Read.
Come on. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image.
In other words, don't make
cross,
any image or buy images.
Come on. Of any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Look at that, under the earth. The earth tells me, that tells me the earth is flat.
So it's clear. We are not to make gods. In other words, we are not to make a god to ourselves to worship. In other words, we can also make gods in our mind, or philosophies that we are comfortable with, and we worship that philosophy.
Tell them how, Josh. Watch. It's like they're comfortable with saying that they have a relationship with God. How?
Like we
Tell
just
me
read
how.
in Exodus 20, the first 3 verses.
Tell us
and
how.
yes, the Bible does tell you how to have a relationship with the Most High through keeping His laws, statutes, and commandments.
Not by going to Sunday church.
When Christians say that, or religious people say that, what they're saying is, I've really determined that I have a God that I'm comfortable with, that I've made up in my mind,
That's right.
that I want to worship, and I don't care what God says about what I have to do. I'm going to follow the God I like to follow.
And we confront people with the true Most High. They don't want to hear it.
Again,
Yep.
Get this book, The Miseducation of the Negro. It's a very interesting book so far.
Please.
So, I just want to make one point, then we'll close. Remember in the clips where when we saw the clip of the movie Django with Eddie, not Eddie Murphy.
Who was that, Tony, playing that part? Do you know?
Was it Denzel Washington?
Yeah,
No.
yeah. Oh, no. It was somebody like him. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they saw it. Did they see it?
With the massa and the white guy in Django. And he took out the slave skull, and he said, now, if someone tried to make me work forcibly for somebody for 50 years, I would have killed that person the first day. But in other words, what he was saying, because we have trained you black people to submit to us, you haven't rose up against us or separated and created your own country or economy
That's
within
right.
an economy, because we've trained you to be submissive and
depend on
the oppressor.
On the oppressor.
So what he was saying is, since we've trained that part of your mind that deals with sense of submissiveness to be overly submissive, now we can control you for generations. See, these white slave masters were very sadistic. They knew that your mind was set up to rule and run things, not to be submissive and follow. Because look at what is following them has done to you.
Wow.
Ghettos, like the watchman said, highest in all type of sicknesses.
That's right.
Mostly connected to the food the slave master gave you, the shrimp, crab, pork, and lobster that he fed you. Is killing
That's where it's
you.
all coming from.
The fast food that they give you.
Injections from doctors, pork in it. We know that for a fact.
So the Most High says, you know, if you don't keep my commandments, all these curses will come.
That's right.
All these curses will come.
Now tell them how they can get.
Now,
you can get out of the curses.
hold on. Before you can, of course, you can get out of these curses.
Sure.
But we have to deal with the curses so you know what you have to repent from.
Right. Right.
That's why we bring these videos like the transatlantic slave trade and these videos from Elder Ricard and Watchman, Watchman Yahoo, to bring your mind into remembrance of what has happened,
who you really
and
are.
what is still going on. It's not like your brother Esau and his government has stopped oppressing you.
Like they're not dragging you off with chains anymore and whipping you, but they really are in a sense.
I mean, it's different.
It's different.
But it's more subtle. It's more
seductive.
Not subtle, but it's more hidden.
Right.
They get you in ways now that you don't expect to be as slavery, but they are, like
that's right.
Fast food corporations.
That's slavery. You can't wait to get
Walmart,
to the
Target, and all these places are wage slave markets. Wage slave. They're technically plantations with air conditioning. Think about it. They're plantations with poor people working for nothing.
Do you think the managers and the owners, the managers that work in all these fast food places are mostly Afro-Americans, aren't they? Do you think for 1 second they're going to lose their job if we go in there and tell them that that food you're eating is poison? They don't want to hear it. A lot of them don't want to hear it. But if you all striked in this country for 3 days, America would go bankrupt, and then you would have your way.
But
you won't do
because,
that.
like the slave master says, we've trained you to be submissive and follow us. You think it's wrong to build your own table and eat from your own people?
It's not. You're supposed to build your community and have your own stores and your own shopping center, everything, so people can come to you. And your own people can come to you.
So basically, we have trained you to listen to us, like we saw the clip with the slave boy reading to the three white guys. Slaves, obey your masters.
He was reading and he didn't understand the word he was saying.
Now, we understand that is the way they trained you to be submissive to them. That's why they teach you to pray for your government, just like the slaves were taught to pray for their master. The Bible does not teach you to pray for someone who is whipping you, poisoning you, causing poverty, drugs, murder. You're not supposed to pray for that. The Bible doesn't say to, when people think of the Bible saying love your enemy, that's not who that is talking about. When Christ said to love your enemy, Christ was talking to black Hebrew Israelites who had to function amongst them because they were
other. He was talking about love your enemies.
He says, don't let these people that are ruling you pull you apart and make you hate one another. love your brother or your
Awesome,
enemy.
Josh.
Don't let them make you enemies out
I
of
knew
each
that
other.
didn't mean that. I knew it for so
Why would
long.
Christ tell you to love someone who's trying to kill you?
Yeah.
Why now of course Christ said forgive those, Father, and all that, but that doesn't apply to this.
That's right.
Christ doesn't want you loving someone who's lied to you, poisoned you, uses guns and abortion.
It's like someone's waiting outside with a gun, and you're standing saying, "Well, I have to pray for you. I have to pray for you because you're my enemy, even though you're ready to shoot me."
You're supposed to run and get behind the door. So
now you see how the government's got it set up, folks, where he's got all the tribes at each other's neck instead of coming together.
So, shalom.
Shalom. We love you.